Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the King and Pocket Aces, brought to you by Rotoballer Radio and Rotoballer.com. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Aniano. Happy to be with you here today as we take a look at the Week 15 value and sleeper plays. The value and sleeper plays to help you in the first round of your fantasy playoffs. And joining me, as he always does, my good friend, colleague, and the king of fantasy sports, Mr. Scott Engel. Scott, how you doing today, buddy?
Feeling great in the final week of the regular season in the Hall of Fantasy League, the first ever professional fantasy sports league. The New York Bodega Cats, powered by myself and Real Talk Raf of Rotoballer. We captured the #1 seed and the Eastern Division Championship in the first year of play. And we have a bye week.
There you go. Terrific run by you guys. Bringing home the gold, as they would say, in that league as well. And hopefully everybody who's been listening has the same amount of success. Odds are, if you're watching, one of two things is happening. Either you really enjoy Scott and I, or you're still playing fantasy football. And either way, that's a good thing, ladies and gentlemen.
They're probably just still playing. Yeah.
I would like to think that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you and I were not that interesting. But Nonetheless, head over to rotoballer.com. Check it out. Sign up for the main page, the premium package. That premium package, guys, sign up with the promo code KING for Scott, Aces for me. Save yourself 10% additional discount on whichever premium package you sign up for. Baseball, football, basketball, MMA, esports, NASCAR, PGA, sports betting, you name it. DFS or season long. Rotoballer.com has it. Make sure you like and subscribe right here to the Rotoballer YouTube channel as well. And check out all the great content from waiver wires through start sits right up to the sleeper and value play. All right, Scott, we have injuries, right? Damian Harris out for the Patriots. He's the latest one. We know the COVID list runs deep. We've had games rescheduled now for Week 15. We're playing into Tuesday evening, so we won't even know who won our fantasy matchups now until late Tuesday night. So there's a lot of adjustments people are making on the fly here this week, and that's why this show, I think, is important, because we got to dive deep and help people navigate all of this. So I'm going to go to you first at the quarterback position. Okay, no team's on a bye, but there are injuries, there are COVID concerns. Who is your sleeper value play at the quarterback position?
This is actually a popular one among the Rotoballers and some other fantasy experts. Justin Fields is an NFL quarterback. He's improving. He's erratic, but the fantasy numbers are there because he's rushing for over, on average, 70 yards the last 3 games, and gets a matchup against Minnesota, which has allowed the 29th most fantasy points per game to wide receivers. So I'm expecting a bounce-back week from Darnell Mooney, and I really think that him and Fields are going to click. Fields is going to throw the ball. He could be good for 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but a nice amount of rushing yards and maybe a rushing touchdown. I think Justin Fields is a back-end fantasy quarterback #1 this week.
Wow. Okay, Justin Fields, the rookie, making gains in the fantasy football world. Scott, my value play at the quarterback position, Jimmy Garoppolo over the 49ers. Okay, his last 2 games, he's thrown for 299 and then 296 yards, 2 touchdowns in each of those games. Deebo Samuel back, Brandon Ayuk playing better, and George Kittle just absolutely playing out of his mind. Keep in mind, too, Eli Mitchell potentially not playing and going against an Atlanta defense that's allowing the second most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks, 24.4. That's allowed the second most passing touchdowns in the league so far this season, 26. Okay, 28 total touchdowns, 2 on the ground. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, provides a safe 20-point floor this week against Atlanta. If you're concerned about Lamar Jackson's ankle or any other concerns, Jimmy Garoppolo is a nice little value play this week for a safe game against this Atlanta Falcons defense.
Yeah, I can certainly see it. I like it for Ayuk. Like you said, Kittle's been great. Deebo Samuel hasn't been catching too many passes, but I think you can play him safely again. And then you'll be talking about the running back situation there with Elijah Mitchell listed as doubtful.
Yep, absolutely. So that's another. I'm loving that matchup against Atlanta for the 49ers. But Scott, what about, speaking of the running back position, who's your first sleeper value play for the running backs this week?
Where has the Steelers' run defense gone? It's not what it used to be. Pittsburgh has allowed the most rushing yards to running backs over the last 4 weeks and the fourth most over the season. So I'm going to go with Deontay Foreman, who is emerged as the clear running back for the Tennessee Titans. They don't have a potent offense whatsoever. They're still basing it against over the run. So I'm going to go with Deontay Foreman against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yep, had a touchdown last week. Foreman's proven himself to be quite useful for the Tennessee Titans. My first running back, Ramondre Stevenson of the New England Patriots. I know it's a tough matchup against the Indianapolis Colts, but the commitment to the run has been there all year for New England. Stevenson has looked fantastic now that he's gotten in a regular rotation with Bill Belichick and that Patriots offense. Okay, Ramondre Stevenson against the Colts defense that's allowing 20.7 fantasy points per game. Brandon Bolden's nicked up. Damian Harris is out. Okay, I love Ramondre. I've been screaming from the hilltops about Stevenson since the preseason. Now that he's in a rotation, if you have him on your roster, which you should, is a great spot for him at the very least to be a high-end running back 2 this week in fantasy matchups.
I think the most fun thing about Stevenson is for a big guy, when he gets on the edge, he can
turn the corner.
He can really turn on the Jets.
Yep, absolutely. You've seen him turn the corner and outrun defensive backs, and he can hammer the ball inside as well. Bill Belichick really found something, I do believe.
Yeah, Damian Harris is a good running back, but I like Stevenson even better personally.
Yeah, I think as time goes on, next year even, Stevenson slowly takes more and more. Harris has had a nice year, and it's a potent 1-2 punch, as we saw against Buffalo in that game with the wind. But nonetheless, Stevenson has a terrific game scheduled for Saturday night. Scott, your second value sleeper play at running back.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Chase Edmonds coming back from the injury against the Detroit Lions. James Conner, he can still start him confidently because he's a touchdown machine. But, Edmonds is the guy who may operate in space, and the Detroit Lions have allowed 8 receiving touchdowns to running backs. That's tied for the most in the league. So this is a good week for Chase Edmonds to come back and make a little bit of noise as a flex player.
Yeah, I like Chase Edmonds. Early reports are Kingsbury's planning on using both running backs. We shall see how that shakes out.
Yeah, with DeAndre Hopkins out too, you want to get more offensive weapons involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've been waiting for Edmonds, great spot to get him back in. My second running back, again, I'll continue to pick on the Falcons, and that's Jeff Wilson. Eli Mitchell listed as doubtful. Whenever Mitchell's been out, it has been Jeff Wilson. No, he hasn't been great. He went 13 for 56 last week, but he goes against that Atlanta defense that's allowed 13 running back touchdowns and 6 receptions a game. It's a smash spot for the 49ers, and I'm all in on it. Okay, they're allowing 25.8 points per game to opposing running backs. If you're depleted, whether it's COVID concerns, injuries, there's a ton of running backs that are going to potentially be game time decisions. If you want to avoid the Detroit Lions situation or whatever else it may be, if you need that flex play option at the running back position, Jeff Wilson will see volume. 10 to 15 touches should come his way against that Falcons defense. Scott, your first value sleeper play at the wide receiver position.
Yeah, we're talking about DeAndre Hopkins out. People are wondering who's going to step forward and really be the guy now wide receiver. And because Christian Kirk spreads the ball around a lot, for my money, it's AJ Green. 100-yard game last week, 7 catches. And when Kyler Murray goes downfield, and he goes downfield frequently, he goes to AJ Green as his main downfield guy. He's averaging 15.6 yards per reception this year. Christian Kirk, I think he gets open downfield himself too, but maybe more of a guy he goes to on key downs. I think you'll have a pretty good floor from Christian Kirk, but AJ Green is going to have more upside.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have him active in Scott Fishbowl, and AJ Green's had a nice little season. He's kind of rejuvenated himself after a couple of down seasons in Cincinnati. My first wide receiver is KJ Osborne of the Minnesota Vikings against the Chicago Bears. Last 2 games, 14.7 and then 17.3 PPR points with 16 targets over the last 2 and a touchdown in each. Adam Thielen's still very doubtful to play against the Bears. And the Bears have allowed 17 touchdowns to opposing wide receivers. Kirk Cousins had a terrific year when you look at the numbers. Very few interceptions, 20-plus touchdowns. It's a nice spot for KJ Osborne as the alternative to Justin Jefferson. Scott, your second value play at wide receiver.
Everybody's very happy about Urban Meyer leaving for James Robinson, but I think it's also going to help Marvin Jones, who got into it with Urban Meyer. And, he's going against a Houston pass defense at 24th in yards allowed to wide receivers. So I think Marvin Jones, who's been a big disappointment this year, now with Darrell Bevel running the offense, maybe, he'll be free up to get him more involved. It's a good matchup. If you need to plug somebody in a wide receiver, or even want to use this for DFS, go with Marvin Jones this week.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're going to see a bit of some decent performance from that Jaguars offense that should be rejuvenated with Meyer out of town. My second wide receiver is Devontae Parker of the Miami Dolphins against the New York Jets. Jalen Waddle on the COVID list. Who knows who's playing running back for the Dolphins against the Jets, although whoever it is in a great spot. Okay, Ahmed and Gaskin now off the COVID list. Let's see if they get enough practice into play. But that being said, Devontae Parker, 48 targets, Scott, in 6 games that he's been healthy. 8 targets a game. In those 6 games, he has 4 games over 11 or more fantasy points. He has very quietly, when active, been really fantasy useful. And again, that Jet defense allowing almost 273 passing yards a game. If you like Tua this week, and I do like Tua this week, then Devontae Parker should be his go-to wide receiver with Jalen Waddle potentially out due to COVID. Give me Devontae Parker against the Jets.
Even if Waddle wasn't in, Parker's somebody you got to watch, because you mentioned the numbers that he put up. And let's not forget how good he was 2 years ago. And then last year they went through some quarterback issues, et cetera. But now things have stabilized themselves again. And Parker's coming out as somebody you can use for the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And underrated, I think, at his position. Scott, your tight end value play for the week.
This is going super deep. But, hey, if you're missing Darren Waller, you have to dig deep because people are still without him. I'm going to go Brevin Jordan of the Houston Texans. 7 targets last week, and he's caught a touchdown in 2 of his last 3 games. I think he's got a good shot to get in the end zone again and make key catches against the Jaguars.
Okay, there you go. Brevin Jordan. Scott picking on that Jacksonville-Houston game. He likes that matchup. Scott, I'm going Nick Vannett of New Orleans against Tampa Bay. Taysom Hill likes throwing to him. That's just the bottom line. He had 6 targets last week. 10 targets over his last 2 games. He's gotten over 7 points last 3. Again, same thing, digging deep if you're missing out on a Darren Waller type potentially. Tampa Bay on average allows 6 receptions and about 60 yards a game to the tight end position. So you're looking at 12 points there. Gets in the end zone, you got a little bit more. They've given up 6 touchdowns to tight ends this season. But Taysom Hill looks to him. Look for Nick Vannett of the New Orleans Saints this week at the tight end.
Yeah,
position.
One of my dynasty leagues, I'm without Waller, and Moreau really hasn't done anything.
Yeah.
I'm down to a Vannett versus Brevin Jordan decision.
Who are you going with? Are you going with your sleeper or mine?
I think I'm leaning towards Vannett.
There you go.
He's been a blocker for much of his career, but he's shown at times when he needs to that he can catch passes. It's a tough decision, but right now I'm leaning towards Vannett.
Okay, fair enough. Scott's literally dealing with both of those sleeper value plays. I like it. Scott, like we always do at the end of like we always do at the end of the show, we have the Kings bonus plays, and I'm taking a sneak peek, and I love them. Who do you got as some bonus plays this week?
Hey,
I'm not going to say them. I'm going to let you say them.
Stop it. Okay.
Go ahead.
Russell Gage, you mentioned the Atlanta Falcons. He's been really good recently against the San Francisco 49ers, who have allowed the 4th most average fantasy points to tight ends over the last few weeks. Gabriel Davis has been scoring consistently recently, and now with Emmanuel Sanders doubtful, I like him against Carolina. And then if you're playing in a 2-quarterback league or daily, when Davis Mills didn't get anything of a pass rush on him last week from Seattle, he threw for 300 yards. He won't get much of a pass rush from Jacksonville either. So I like Davis Mills as a very deep sleeper this week.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, Davis Mills. It's not the first time I've heard that because of that matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Folks, don't forget, give Scott a follow on Twitter at Scott E. The King. Follow me at Aniano Fantasy. Like and subscribe right here to the Rotoballer YouTube channel, or continue listening wherever you listen to the Rotoballer Radio podcasts, and head over to rotoballer.com and sign up for those premium packages. Promo code KING, promo code ACES, whichever one you like. Sign up, be part of the Rotoballer squad to guide you through whatever fantasy sports season you want. All right, everybody. Scott, this has been fun as always, my friends. Everybody else, stay smart, stay safe, and we'll see you next time. Good luck in the playoffs. Have a good one, folks.